Hello everyone, welcome to the latest FGS podcast. Myself Dr. Sandeep Tripathi. Today we are here to discuss on current ongoing crisis between India and Maldives. For this podcast, we have with us very distinguished diplomat, Ambassador J.K. Tripathi sir. Sir, we are very thankful to you that you accepted our invitation to talk about this very important topic which has a very strategic implications on India's foreign affairs. So thank you so much, sir, that you accepted our invitation. Dear friends, let me introduce Ambassador J.K. Tripathi. Ambassador Tripathi, sir, has served at Maldives from 1987 to 1989. And this period was a very tough period for the Maldives government because terrorist outfit that tried to capture the Maldives government. And during that time, he has been in the Maldives as an Indian diplomat. So in this podcast, we will now listen his experience, the kind of experience he has during that time. And from that time till now, Ambassador Tripathi has vast experience of diplomacy. So he will also explain what are the ramifications of the current standoff between India and Maldives. So once again, I welcome to the latest podcast.
Thank you very much.
Sir, so the first question to you, sir, that how do you see the current standoff between India and Maldives, especially the new government that elected in the Maldives under the leadership of Mohammad Moiju? Sir, how do you see this in a standoff?
You see, Dr. Tripathi, during the last 12 years or so, Maldivian governments have been changing and every time there is an election, the government is either pro-China, next time it is pro-India. So this type of shift goes on. That is, you can say, that is a ping pong being played by China and India on Maldives. Traditionally, India's relationship with Maldives goes back to centuries, at least 3-4 centuries or even more, when the king of Tuticorin ruled over the Maldives islets. It is called Maldives because earlier its actual name is Maladvipam, Sanskrit. So India had traditional relations, navigational relations and people-to-people relations for quite some time, many centuries. But when Maldives got its independence in 60s, after that there was India always helped Maldives. But what happened is, then I can say, enter China in the Indian Ocean. And once China entered, China wanted to surround India by its policy of a string of pearls, which means Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Maldives. They tried to woo Bangladesh also but could not succeed. Djibouti, Sri Lanka, Djibouti, Pakistan. So they wanted to encircle India that way. And that is why China played its role, and it's a traditional role of debt trap, giving plenty of debt, giving plenty of loan, and after that negotiating the terms and conditions of the loan. So that is what Chinese game is, and that is where this thing happened. Now, current crisis in the recently held election, Mohammad Moiju's party won hands-on, and then one of their manifesto agenda was India out. India should leave. Now, why India should leave, and especially Indian army should leave? They created a mountain out of a molehill, because only 72 Indian Armed Force personnel are there stationed in Maldives, and these 72 are there to train and maintain the 3 Dornier craft that we had presented to, we have gifted to Maldives. But I don't know why Maldivian president was so anti-India that he said, no, you take it back, take them back. We have not done it so far. We are trying to tell them that, look, this is not the way. I mean, we are there to assist you, train you. And mind you that we are training Maldivian. We are training Maldivian defense personnel. We have been training Maldivian other customs officials, Maldivian police. We have been giving scholarships to Maldivians to come and study here after 10th grade. Generally, we give scholarships for studying in universities, but since there was no education facility available way back in the 80s after 10th grade, so we relaxed this condition. So we have been giving them, we have been helping them, but then China factor comes in, and we were helping because we are the net security provider of Indian Ocean. We have more than 7,400 kilometer long coastline, and we are the biggest peninsula here in Indian Ocean. So this becomes our duty, as is clear from the fact that recent Houthi attacks on number of ships were thwarted by Indian Navy. So this was our duty rather, but then the new government was against it. But luckily, instead of going there, instead of coming to India or coming to China first, the new Maldivian president went to Turkey first, just to show that we are not giving any undue importance to China, but which was wrong. They are giving the due importance. They have not come to Maldives because the previous government, previous president, when he took over, the first visit was to Maldives, and traditionally the first visit is from Maldives is any new president. For any new president, traditionally the first visit from Maldives is to India, because India, most of the things that Maldivians get are from India. So, but he did not do that, and then the crisis erupted when Prime Minister went to Lakshadweep, just to show it was not his intention to degrade Maldives or to look down upon Maldives. His intention was to promote Lakshadweep, because Lakshadweep is equally beautiful, but not much developed. So our Prime Minister's intention was to promote Lakshadweep, but then Maldivians, probably three Maldivian ministers, they thought it was a deliberate attempt against Maldives, and they issued derogatory remarks on Prime Minister of India for no provocation whatsoever. And that's when Indian tourists, they started boycotting it. At that time, Moizu was in China, and he started requesting Chinese president to send more and more Chinese tourists. Mind you, out of 17 lakh tourists that had come last year to Maldives, international tourists, 2,09,134 were from India, 2,09,054, just a little 50 or 60 less, were from Russia, 1,77,000 were from China. So about 12-13% of the international tourists were from India, and there was a steady flow of tourists to India, influx of tourists from India to Maldives. So that has hit Maldives badly, and that is where the Maldivian government immediately suspended these 3 ministers, because their act was hitting below the belt. And not only that, Maldivian tourism apologized, but crisis still has not subdued, because Muizu has not bowed down from his stand that Indian army must go. Latest is that the Indian Minister of External Affairs, Dr. S. Jaishankar, has met his Maldivian counterpart on the sidelines of NAM meeting. So, and both said that they discussed many things inter alia India-Maldives relation also. So that's where the things stand now.
Yes, Ambassador Tripathi, you rightly pointed out that yes, that India, the kind of India extended support. So how do you think that Maldives should learn some lesson from the Sri Lanka? Because Sri Lanka was the same line that under the Chinese influence, but the Sri Lanka was the economic crisis was there. India extended lots of support.
Not only from Sri Lanka, but Maldives should have learned from Pakistan also, because these two countries are almost a sellout to China. And especially, as you have rightly pointed out, the big loan that China had extended for establishment for construction of Hambantota port, and another international airport in the constituency of former Sri Lankan president Rajapakse. They were almost a non-starter, and after so many years, no profit, nothing came. So Chinese government virtually captured it. They got it for on lease for 99 years. That means they are trying to establish their base. Sri Lanka woke up, but it was a little late for them. Similar thing might happen to Maldives, and suffering of Maldives will be much severe than Sri Lanka, because Maldives is a tiny country of more than 1200 islands, and with about 6 lakh of population. So Maldives must learn its lesson, and Maldives must realize that whenever any disaster came, 2004 and even later, India was the first responder. Without any hidden agenda, we rushed and we assisted them.
Yes. How do you see that India's slogan of neighborhood first policy? How do you see this event, the kind of rhetorical escalations that took place, especially when the Muizu returned back from the China, and he started commenting on India, especially his ministers, making some derogatory remarks on our esteemed Prime Minister and Modi. That yes, so how do you see, does it exist in reality, or it is only rhetorical? Because the way India responded, it was very sober and mature.
Well, my personal experience in Maldives is that Maldivians are by and large very much pro-India, very much in favor of India than in favor of China or Pakistan. However, I must say that it was a rhetoric by 3 ministers, and it was evident that after this, after they were suspended, when Muizu was still in China, there were elections for the post of mayor of Maldives, where the opposition party won hands on. So Muizu's party, ruling party, lost the election for mayor. That itself says that people reacted to Muizu.
That means Maldivian society is highly pro-Indian, but for the time being, we can understand, because during the elections also with the kind of slogan he made, India out slogan, so we can understand the kind of domestic politics to take support domestic politics. He made such kind of provocative remarks. But the next question to you, Ambassador Tripathi, because you have been there in Maldives, and that incident was very historic in Maldives, in politics in Maldives society, because it was the first time that Maldives experienced in 1998. You, as a young diplomat, you were there, and historically India extended its support. So, if you could explain to our audience, what was the real issue during the 1998 when you were there?
Maldives got its independence in 1960s. We were there in Maldives from 1987 to 89. Now, at that time, I must tell you, Malé was the biggest island, and Malé had a population of about 80,000 only. Population of the capital. Total population of the country was about 2 lakhs. And Malé is about 1.5 square miles of island. So you can imagine 80,000 people living in 1.5 square miles. So very densely populated. There were no roads. There were no cars. There were few cars, but private cars were only, I think, private cars were owned by one for the president and one of our embassy, and there were only 3 embassies, Pakistan, India and Sri Lanka. There were no other embassies. So 3 cars, those, and one for the president. There were only 4 cars, and our embassy was situated right in front of the presidential palace.
Okay.
So things were moving smoothly, but it seemed that internally some plotting was going on, because later on it transpired after the coup attempt was over that it was engineered by a Maldivian businessman, Abdullah Lutfi, in collaboration with one of the former politicians who was opposed to Abdul Gayoom, the president, and they took help of some terrorist outfit based in Sri Lanka.
Okay.
So their idea was to topple the government, and probably they chose they couldn't have chosen a better time, because President Mahmoud Gayoom was to pay an official state visit to India on 3rd November 1998.
Okay.
And as per diplomatic requirements or tradition, our High Commissioner had come to Delhi from there about 3 days back to prepare the visit. And in the early morning of 3rd November or 2nd November, gunshots were heard, and when people came out, everybody saw that a few terrorists in t-shirt and lungi wielding guns and occasionally firing in the air. There was, mind you, there was no casualty as such.
Okay.
So, and Maldivian people had not seen a gunshot, had not heard a gunshot or even seen a gun for the last 40 years. Maldives is such a peaceful society.
Yeah.
People are so close to India.
Okay.
So, but then in the morning we thought, we could not make out what it was, but soon after about an hour or so, we got, our High Commission got a distress call from the local government that there is an attack on the government, on the country, and please save us. Ask your government to save us. I understand first they asked probably American and British governments also, but they said no, India is in the best position to save you because India is in your next proximity.
Yes.
India is your next door neighbor. So they asked us, but then we said, let us first verify whether this call is genuine or not. But when we got to know that this call is genuine, we communicated the same thing to our High Commissioner here, who communicated to the government. And I understand that the Indian government first informed the Pakistani government, US government, UK government, and probably, I am not sure, the Chinese government also, because we didn't want an international crisis to erupt. So that we didn't want any other power to say that we have attacked Maldives. So once we told them, then 4 paratroopers from Agra were asked to fly. Naval ships were asked to move to Malé. Our Air Force station based in Air Force Squadron based in Trivandrum were asked to start sortie. So within 4 hours, Indian Army was in Malé. First 4 paratroopers, they landed, para-jumped on Honolulu Airport, took control of Honolulu Airport. Then from Honolulu now there is a road, there is a bridge, but earlier there was no bridge. Okay. So from airport you had to have the boats, dhonis. So then in dhonis they came here, they came to Malé, they captured everything and then started fishing out. And when these terrorists who were not very much trained professional terrorists, when they heard, they started fleeing. Okay. So with the help of our Navy and Air Force, they were captured and handed over to Maldivian government. Government was saved, Gayoom was saved. So that is what happened that day.
This was the experience that narrated by Ambassador Tripathi sir, and that's why this kind of podcast becomes so important. Just because we have practitioners like Ambassador Tripathi had, stated the kind of crisis were there, and India extended its unwavering support, unflinching support to Maldives. Maldives should learn. Maldives should just remember this kind of India's credential support. So I think the last question to you, Ambassador Tripathi sir, that how do you see, after explaining your experience, it was very wonderful that the kind you shared your experience in Maldives. So after 40 years later, the level we have diplomatic ties today, and the kind of rigor India is showing in its neighborhood, and India's slogan to the neighborhood first. How do you see it? The question was asked from our External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar regarding the Maldives question. He responded that politics is politics. We can't expect that each and everyone will agree with us. How do you see this statement?
You see, in diplomacy, certainly you cannot expect that everyone will be with you for all the times. Like they say, you can please somebody for some time, you can please someone always, you can please all of the people for some time, but you cannot please everybody all the time. And in fact, in diplomacy also, the relations keep on changing, keep on taking new shapes depending on the developments that take place in the area, in the theatre. So that is how it happens. But yes, and politics of any country depends on so many, foreign policy of any country depends on so many factors which form the national interest. How is the domestic constituency? How is the public reacting? What does the public want? And how is the leader? What is the interest of the leader? So with all these things keep on changing, but that, as Dr. Jaishankar has rightly pointed out, that doesn't mean that we should change our policy. Our policy is neighborhood first.
Yes.
Our neighbors, that means our neighbors take priority before any other country. And Maldives being our immediate neighbor, that becomes more important. More so, for Maldives, India is important because, as I said earlier, India is the net security provider in the area. Almost all the Maldivians come to India for medical treatments. The Maldivians are Indian export to Maldives is, of course, sort of one-sided, because Maldives doesn't have anything to export than tuna fish.
Okay.
So Maldives depends heavily on India, because importing things from other countries, except say Sri Lanka or Pakistan, especially importing things from China, will be very costly for Maldivians. Secondly, why Maldives is important for India?
Yeah.
Maldives is not only important for India, but Maldives is important for world, though it is very tiny country, because it is situated right on the sea trade route of Indian Ocean, through which 90% of world trade from Asia to Africa and Europe takes place. So that gives Maldives a very unique situation, and that is why China is also after Maldives to get some bases, etc. But irrespective of whatever is the size of a country, if there is a country and if it is a sovereign country and if it is our neighbor, it is always important for us. Like Bhutan is very important for us.
Yeah.
Nepal is very important for us, and we had good relationship with almost all countries except Pakistan. Everybody knows. So this mutual importance makes us very important neighbors. Maldives and India, and despite the misgivings by Maldivian government, I don't think these one or two one-off incidents should deter India from helping Maldives and from changing its policy specifically for Maldives.
So as per your insights, we can say that foreign policy diplomacy is not like white and black board. It has some complexity and nuances, and the geographical location of the Maldives, it makes so important for the both countries, and the interest of the India and the Maldives are mutually aligned. So sir, thank you so much for your deep insights and your experience, especially because you as a diplomat you were there. So I hope that this podcast will help the policymakers, scholars, students, and above all the people, those who are very interested in IR. Thank you so much.